Some of you watching may have played through Bendy and the Ink Machine or saw a playthrough up until the end of chapter 5 and wondered what the seeing tool will show you in all of the previous chapters. So in this video, I'm going to go through the entire game using the seeing tool. Some people also suspect that there is a secret ending involved with this, so let's see if that's actually true, and let's see if we can come up with any other mysteries or theories from the messages that we see. Let's begin. Okay, so just a heads up, I did play a little bit through chapter 1 already, but I didn't want to start a new game in case it erased my progress from completing chapter 5 and getting this baby. And plus, right at the beginning of the game, we can see a whole bunch of messages around the entrance to the studio. So one here says, "Turn back." There are a whole bunch of tally marks on the walls. That is a lot of tally marks. One says, "I'm sorry, buddy," on the Boris the Wolf poster, and we also have an arrow pointing to the exit. Of course, we're not allowed to use the exit. There's just no way out of this endless nightmare that Henry's been thrust into. It also says, "Don't turn on the machine," so whoever was here is trying to warn us. And I'm going to tell you now that I think that Henry is the one who is here. Henry's the one who's been leaving these messages to make sure that in the next cycle, the next Henry doesn't make the same mistake. Unfortunately, I don't think we can do that. Now, as I've mentioned, I've already played a little bit through this. I've already brought up the ink machine and collected an ink Bendy doll. So we've got some work to do, and I don't think there's any way we can avoid any of this. Here it says Joey drew nothing instead of Joey Drew Studios. He was born here, so he is probably Bendy. This might be in reference to the character that Henry drew in the chapter 3 audio tape, and I don't believe there are any messages in here. So let's continue. Oh yes, I've got to check the floor as well and the ceiling. It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of warnings Henry's been leaving for us. The ones that we've completely been oblivious to because we didn't have the seeing tool. By the way, the origin of the seeing tool, I believe, is that it was Thomas Connor's tool. When you finally beat the game, there's a message from Alison Pendle, who is now called Alison Connor, because she got married to Thomas Connor, supposedly, saying that somebody stole one of Connor's tools, and I believe that tool could be this one. So now we have another message here that says death in every direction. So no matter what you do, no matter where you go, death is awaiting everyone here. Not all dreams come true, and I suspect that would be Henry's dream in particular. So let us continue through this. Listening and always watching. So that might be in reference to Sammy Lawrence, because he never truly leaves us, does he? He comes back later on in chapter 5. I just skipped past a couple of the previous rooms because they didn't really have any messages there, but here's another one here in the ink machine room that I missed. There never was a choice. So this might be an indication that Henry really just could not get out of this predicament that he is in. Now, I don't think anybody really knows exactly what happened, but I suspect that Henry was thrown into an endless loop by Joey Drew. Seems to be a message down there. Let's go read what it says. Don't be scared. Okay, so he's probably talking about the Boris clone over there, and I don't believe there are any messages in here. So yes, he would have been thrust into this endless loop by Joey Drew, possibly to steal his family member, who is the little girl or the little boy, but everybody thinks it's a girl, so I'm just going to go with the girl at the end of chapter 5, and many believe that she is Linda, possibly Henry's daughter or granddaughter, and yes, it says she's heartless, confirming that Alice Angel did mutilate this Boris clone. How unfortunate. Here's a message here that says peekaboo right where the Bendy cutout comes out to try to scare you. Doesn't look like he's come out to scare me yet. So that's the message that they put for the Meatly? That is so funny. Devilishly handsome. A devilishly handsome puppet. Here we go, a major plot revelation. Underneath the studio, we can see the message the creator lied to us with Joey lied to us written over it. So that is confirmation that Joey Drew actually was the one who lied to everyone. Which means he isn't as good a guy as everybody expected. Well, I don't think anybody really expected it, but some people did think that he could end up being good. I remember I did make a theory on that at one point, but looks like he's still very evil. You can even bring it up when you're collapsing. Say hello to Sammy. Wow, that is different. It's pretty much just warnings for what's about to come. Oh wait, what? Norman and Grant's coffins? This is where they ended up? Oh my gosh. I remember some of the earliest Bendy theories that we made involved like suspecting that employees were packed in these coffins, and it ended up being true. Or is it just symbolism to show that they died? There's one of those circles. On Joey Drew's notice board in his house, you can see he's drawn some I don't know, prototype alchemic circles. He's been into this magic thing for quite a long time. Oh my gosh, there's more names over there. Bertram and Lacey? Oh my gosh, so Bertram, Lacey, Norman, and Grant, they definitely were sacrificed. So what did Grant become? Was it that blob in the management office? Deceived. Now I'm not quite sure what that means. Perhaps it's deceived as in Sammy Lawrence's message was deceiving to the lost ones who kind of blindly followed him, to be honest. It ended up he was their ringleader. Okay, this is where things get juicy. There's got to be a lot of messages around here. Ouch. Oh, that's where he gets hit. So that's a warning that he's going to get hit there. So naive. Poor Susie Campbell, because she was sacrificed. She was like one of the first human sacrifices to become Alice Angel. Huh? Interestingly, there's no message by Johnny's Broken Heart organ. Ah well. Interesting, no message is written in Sammy's sanctuary. The next one is on the Sing With Me sign, and we can see that it says, I don't sing with psychos. So I'm not quite sure what Henry's getting at here. Is Jack Fane a psychopath? Or is he talking about Sammy Lawrence? Because Sammy Lawrence is kind of like a psycho. In Sammy Lawrence's office on the floor here, we can see Creator You Traitor, obviously referencing lyrics to DA Games' song, which plays here. And this is where we go ouchie. No messages by Sammy's ink pool, but we all know he's going to come back. Boo. Of course, it would say boo right where Bendy spawns. So I wonder, is Joey Drew actually whistling behind that door? Because it's the exact same whistle that Joey has when we go to his house. Interesting. Let's just run away from Bendy real quick. It doesn't end here. Okay. Of course it doesn't end there. Oh, no, no, no. I think I stalled for way too long there. Come on, don't die again. Okay. We made it. And nothing where we find Boris the Wolf for the first time. Okay, we're in the safe house now, and the first thing that we see is a drawing of Beast Bendy around the Bendy clock in Henry's room of the safe house and Boris's room. I don't see any other markings though. So, looks like Henry's been trying to warn us all along, but unfortunately, we cannot see these extra markings as we play through the game. That is without the seeing tool. Who am I now? Hold on a moment, does he change identities with each cycle? That is interesting. Maybe Joey Drew creates a different role for him in the stories that he tells. That little girl, who many suspect to be Linda. And I did get that idea from a Twitter prodigy by the name of Bloody Gal, so all credits to her. I might have to continue on that. Over here it says, I'm sorry, buddy. Poor Floopy Snoot. Oh man, I hope I find a hidden message that says Floopy Snoot. Okay, this painting here seems to remind him of home for some reason. Or does the safe house remind him of home? No markings on this abomination. But we have seen markings on the floor by Floopy Snoot and the painting. Over here by the blob, we have a message that says, top of the morning. Probably a reference to Jacksepticeye because that's what he says at the beginning of all his videos. Jacksepticeye voiced Sean Flynn, by the way. His dream, my effort. So this confirms that Joey Drew really did take more than he gave. Henry was not playing around when he made that message. Now let's see what it says in the angel part. If there are any messages around here. Huh? Really? There's no message in the angel path? Wow. Interesting. Maybe that's why you only get the Tommy gun in the demon path, was it? Or was that changed? It keeps swapping around, I'm not sure. You were replaced because you were to become Alice Angel. Such a shame. Susie's coffin right here. Oh my goodness. Absolute definite confirmation that Alice Angel imperfect version was Susie Campbell. There's just absolutely no doubt about it now. There's a message over here. It reads, did they deserve this? I don't think so. I think these were just random, soulless shells, right? Some might have been workers, but I think the lost ones were more likely to become workers. So a message over here as well, I think? Oh no, there's not. Next we have a message that says blah 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 blah, because literally nothing she says makes any sense. There's a message over here where the projectionist walks past that says, the drinks were on Joey. Over here we have a message that says, how could one resist this? And it's right by the radio that plays the Random Encounters and Matt Pat collab song. Over here we have a message that seems to continue on up the stairs. First it says, you're. Next it says, going. To. Meet. the same people on the way down. I wonder what that could mean. You're going to meet the same people on the way down. So is he talking about all of the characters we come across up until chapter 5? As we keep going deeper and deeper? Because it does say we're going down, and we do go down in chapter 5. So maybe he's talking about Alice Angel, Alison Pendle, Tom Boris, and the Projectionist, another Sammy Lawrence. Is it a sign that we're going to see the same characters again? Not quite sure. Could be an abstract thing, but it's probably more straightforward than that. Maybe it's just like you're going to see the same people over and over, like in this last playthrough that you did. The last cycle that you were stuck in. And the end of the game adds so much meaning to Alice Angel saying she was perfect no matter what Joey says, because Joey probably turned her into Alice Angel. She ended up turning out the way she ended up, imperfect, and he would have said that in front of her face. Interesting that there's no message written above this one. I'm pretty sure Susie Campbell would have written that one. Over here it just says, why am I doing this? Is there a point where Henry realized that he was going through the same thing over and over again, I wonder? Well, I guess it would make sense if he wrote the messages in the first place. Over here, the message behind the Meatly says 1 lump or 2. This has got to be in reference to the tea time achievement that you get for finding him serving tea and hamburgers in this little secret area of chapter 3. Now, interestingly, there's no message in this secret area where you can find Henry's audio recording in chapter 3, but it got me thinking, coming back to this area, that this recording may have been made during one of the loops that Joey Drew puts Henry in. However, he does say at the beginning of the recording, only 2 weeks into the company, so he couldn't have recorded this during one of his cycles. I thought it could be that because of the teasers that we got, but no. He says it's the first 2 weeks of the company. There's no way that Henry is in the mindset that he is in the first 2 weeks of joining the company, because the game always starts off in the time 30 years from when he left the studio. And we're at the beginning of chapter 4 now. The first message that we find is, he can't be saved. Referring obviously to Boris, who gets turned into Brute Boris by Alice Angel. It's just so sad. Here we have a message that says beefy by the Meatly, because he's making some lovely barbecued meats in this little secret area of chapter 4. Nice one, Meatly. Doesn't seem that the chapter 4 radio has a secret message attached to it. I tried printing one out to see if one would appear on the radio itself, but nothing yet. Over here by this box is a little love heart symbol. I'm not quite sure why this is here, but it's a thing. I don't see any messages when the jump scare appears. Like many Bendy fans out there, I'm pretty sure we tried to use this door as an exit, and it's confirmed that one of the Henrys in the parallel universes did too. Here's a message that says, she's toying with you, obviously referring to Alice Angel toying with us, making us play games while she rips Boris to pieces and then puts him back together with random other parts just to make him into Brute Boris and pit him against us. Yeah, I'm totally not salty about that. Over here in Bertram's planning area for Bendyland, we can see another message that says, regrets Joey. Now, we do know that Joey ended up becoming a very evil sort of character, and he even acknowledges that at the end of chapter 5. This may be in references to that. He may regret the financial decision of trying to build this park altogether, but he could also be regretting the decision of tormenting all the souls that he turned into monsters in his studio. Over here we have a playful one. It's just a picture of a mustache painted onto a huge Bendy head cutout. In the first room that we unlock in the Bendyland storage area, we can see a message that says, reliving the past does not change it. This pretty much gives confirmation that Henry is going through an endless loop. He is reliving the past over and over again, but it looks like it's not changing at all, which potentially debunks some theories that people have that Joey Drew is changing his past every time he goes back to relive it. Unfortunately, this message seems to say otherwise. On the upper floor of research and design, we can see a message that says, dream too big and you will fail. This is probably a reference to Joey Drew making his dreams too big, cheating death maybe, but most probably his financial difficulties at the studio, trying to expand it and create Bendyland altogether, creating all of these realistic animations that people can meet and love, going all down the toilet. He just spent way too much money on it. At the end of chapter 5, we even see the bankruptcy papers that he hangs on his notice board. It's kind of sad, really. On the bottom floor of research and design, we can see a message here that says, please don't cry to this poor lost one over here. It seems that some of the lost ones are docile and some of them are very, very angry and aggressive, like the ones that obey Sammy Lawrence in the next chapter. A little further on in this room, we have a message that says, it never moves, it referring to the animatronic Bendy here. and the moving referring to Lacey Benton's recording where she says that this moves behind her back. But no matter what you try, this never ever moves for us, the players, so I guess that's a really nice confirmation from the devs. Thanks so much. Really saves us a lot of time trying to get that thing to move. It's probably to give peace of mind to Henry as well for the next time he gets there. Unfortunately, we didn't have the seeing tool the first time that we played through the game. I don't understand what this IOU is, but it seems that no extra message is appearing there. So we'll never know. Just before we get to Bertram's boss fight, we see another message that says again and again, around and around. A reference to both Bertram spinning around and the cart spinning around, as well as Henry once again looping into this time period where he has to fight Bertram all over again. Time wounds, all heals. Probably a reference to Bertram's message bearing so much similarity to Henry's own story. We've got a message by Joey Drew's recording in the projectionist layer of chapter 4 that says, "That's the Joey I knew," which confirms that Joey was a complete tyrant since Henry was there, and that's probably why he left in the first place. What's interesting is that in chapter 5, Joey tells Henry that he should have tried harder to stop him from making the wrong decision. So maybe there is a sense of vengeance after all for Henry leaving the studio because he didn't do everything that he could to stop Joey from turning it into what it became. I don't remember seeing this on the way in, but there appears to be a picture of a door drawn over here where Bendy phases into the wall with the projectionist's body. Nothing to say about the projectionist's head though, he didn't really care much about that. By the turn back message in the haunted house ride, there's another message that says there's no turning back now. Interesting because this is pretty much a point of no return. Boris is well and truly mutilated and he is now Brute Boris and we have to go and fight him to get to chapter 5. Just a heads up that I'm not able to bring up the seeing tool at all during this cutscene, so it looks like there aren't any messages written in the haunted house ride. It also seems in the Boris boss fight I'm not able to bring up the seeing tool at all, so it looks like we were supposed to be completely focused on fighting Brute Boris rather than looking for messages. So now we have the seeing tool messages in chapter 5. First we have, "She will leave you for dead." We all know what that means by now, she just left us for dead. Next we have, "It's inside the vault. Let me out of here." So many questions, escape, don't go through the door, go through the door, what door? So these are obviously confused messages written by Henry in each pass of the story that he has to go through in the loop that Joey Drew has trapped him in. We can even see that he's plotted his way out. We've seen all of the things that we can expect. We don't want Bendy to appear, and he apparently knows the way. There's a map here that shows us where to go. The key thing here is that we need to collect the spoon. He's pretty much giving us a guide to get out of here safely. Interestingly, on the bed is a picture of a coffin, so it looks like he's drawn his own coffin on his bed. He knows he's doomed. It says, "Look inside, you'll need this," and it's a gent pipe. So how did he know there was a gent pipe in there? Who knows how he found out, but it was probably in one of his previous stories. It's interesting that he compliments himself here and says, "You draw beautifully." Finally, we get to see the book past fish. I know this isn't a secret message, but I think it's still a pretty cool thing to point out in this video. Just in case you didn't know, Book Past is one of the people who were on the Bendy team who made this come to life. And I know again, this isn't a secret message, but I think this is pretty cute. This little picture here shows how Tom met Allison, or rather how Allison found Tom. When she was fiddling around with the ink, Tom popped out and scared her, which is pretty cool. Now we've got messages that say "follow me." Some of these should probably be familiar if you've played through the game already. It's pretty much Henry just guiding himself through this stage. Then we have here, "There's something in the river." Is it referring to the beast in the river? Or is it referring to something secret? My guess is it's referring to the big hand beast that's in the river, but we have yet to find out the truth. In the area where the lost ones swarm on you, it says "you bring death." There's one message. Is Henry saying this to himself? Possibly, because he is killing a whole bunch of people who might be employees at the studio. And over here by the "not monsters" sign, it says, "once people, now fallen into despair." So maybe that does confirm that the lost ones were once people. Unfortunately, they met a very sad fate, just because of Joey Drew's selfishness. Here's one that I think many people have noticed by now. If you use the seeing tool on Tom Boris, you can see that he's holding a bone. Now, I personally don't think that this means anything in particular. I really think that this is just a really cute Easter egg, because in the beginning of the game we also see a dead Boris with a bone and a toolbox by his feet, so that could be what that is. Just a cute little reference to Boris's. Although with the Brute Boris, I do in fact think that that was our normal Boris, our precious Floopy Snoot, because if you don't give him the bone, he will end up not having the bone. in that boss fight. Of course, we also see here a halo above Alice Angel's head. She doesn't call herself an angel, but perhaps Henry sees her as his angel. Perhaps that is her true nature and she just doesn't want to believe it. After the Lost One swarm, we fall down into the hole to find a message that says it's inside the vault. The it is obviously the real that we need to show Bendy to make sure he sees that it's the end of his story. The next message that we encounter is the demon has taken it being the film reel that shows the ending of the Bendy cartoons that Bendy has to see in order for us to defeat him. In the final battle against Bendy, we can see some of these markings showing arrows that point out the levers that we need to pull in order to defeat him. They're all over the place. Over here we can see a message that says open this door, right in front of the door that opens when we pull all of the levers. The only thing is, it's above an arrow pointing towards some levers. So I'm not sure if it's the most efficient path to pull the levers, but I'm just going to give it a go anyway. In the room where we have to defeat Bendy by the 4 inky pillars, there is an arrow pointing towards the door out. It leads to the throne, so it's basically just a pointer to get outside of this room. Prodigies, that marks the end of all of the Seeing Tool messages. I'll leave you now with Joey Drew's notice board in his house at the end of chapter 5. I hope this video helped you understand a little bit more about chapter 5 and helped you to expand on how you think. See ya!